Yokoso, my manga society. So we're back with a new series,
Woo.
Gachiakuta. It's a little crazy.
It is. So the hype level was insane for this series. So I went into it not knowing any of like the real events that happened, but just hearing that it has a really cool magic system, a really cool setting, and just some cool action panels.
Yeah, it's like really unique. I feel like a lot of the times when people hype stuff up, it doesn't live up to that hype, but this definitely does.
Right, so we'll be getting into it. Snapkin, do you want to do a short description of the story?
This kind of follows a boy named Rudo, and he lives in like the dirty side of town, I guess you would say. There's like
the slums.
The slums and then like the rich people side. And he lives in the slums. And so he loves garbage. So he steals random garbage from people or from garbage bins, which is like...
Because he can repurpose it. He doesn't love garbage.
Well, he likes repurposing things. Well, no, he kind of does love garbage in a way because he's like, it's not garbage.
Right. Because
why are you throwing it out?
They're throwing away things that can still be used.
And are still like special to people. So it's like...
Right. No, just the way you said it was funny. Like
no,
he loves
sure.
garbage.
So yeah, one time, I guess his like adopted dad gets killed.
Yeah, by a mysterious
figure.
And he gets framed.
And so what happens to people with serious offenses, they get dropped down this pit, which then we learn he actually didn't live on the surface. He lives on a sphere in the sky.
Yeah, because he thought he was getting dropped underground, but this is actually the surface.
He's now on the surface.
Right.
And so this story basically follows him. He's trying to get back up to the sphere to get his revenge, is basically the synopsis.
So I feel like it's a pretty common shonen or movie trope to kill off a parent in the beginning, and that gets the conflict going. But I actually did not even see this coming. Did you?
I did not. Because it's like his adopted parents. So you kind of like assume that his real dad was dead. So you'd think that that's where like the dead parent trope comes in, I guess.
I see. That was horrible, and they kind of like built him up to be this really cool father figure. He's giving him good advice and just generally seems supportive.
Yeah.
So even though you don't know him for a long time, it's like a really impactful scene.
Right, for sure.
Do you want to show that panel where he gets dropped?
Yeah, so he gets caught, and you know, he's trying to tell people that he didn't do it. And so they like hold him up with chains and like cuffs on this like thing over the pit. And there was this character, this girl that he like really liked, and even she turned on him. So it's basically like, I like this exact line, "You're the filthy ones," because you know he's always ravaging through garbage bins and stuff. He's, you know, dirty. But like when one thing happens and like everyone turns on him, you can see that like society is like the filthy ones, you know. So then he like gets dropped.
And then that I'm gonna send you to hell.
I'm gonna send you to hell.
Even though he's getting dropped into like hell pretty much.
And this manga has like amazing art. I love the bold lines, the really bold lines. It really gives it that much more emphasis and emotion, and it's like really nice. It's like the rough, bold lines.
And then I guess this segues into kind of what I also thought was interesting here. So all the people on the sphere have just been throwing all their garbage into the pit, and they didn't really know that what was really down there. They would just throw garbage and like criminals, like people who are accused down there.
I'm sure like the higher ups of the sphere like know everything about the world. So I'm sure they know,
Oh,
but
you think
I'm
so?
sure they'll come in at some point.
That'll be interesting to know, yeah. And then when he first gets down here, there are these creatures called trash beasts. And I guess due to like the accumulation of all the garbage, they've sort of formed a soul.
Yeah.
And formed into beasts that attack you on sight.
It's on site.
Yeah. And I didn't know obviously anything about this, so this was surprising for me because I thought it was kind of just more of like a human conflict story.
For sure.
So this is like an added element of danger. And it's interesting because he's trying to figure out like how this world works down in the pit. And then that's also like a good introduction for the audience.
Yeah.
Because he's slowly like starting to figure out, oh, the air down here is like toxic.
Right.
There's trash beasts, like what are you gonna do?
So basically the people from the sphere are kind of like trashing the surface.
Yeah.
Hot trashing the surface. Anyways.
Dude, can you imagine you're just like walking about your day and then a bunch of trash
Gets falling on you.
on you.
Okay.
But there's like actual cities in here too, which he later learns about.
There are safe areas, yeah.
And then this is our first introduction to the magic system, which everyone was hyping up.
Yeah, it's sick.
So the magic system is really cool because I feel like shonens use like the concept of ki or chi a lot, like your mana, but this does it in an interesting way. So in this world, if there's an object that you really treasure, like for this character, it's his umbrella, and for Rudo, it's his like big ass gloves. If you've treasured an item for years and years, you can imbue it with like the world's mana, which they call it anima, and then it turns into a vital instrument, which is basically like your weapon to fight.
Yeah.
And the people that have the ability to do this or like have imbued their object, they're called givers. So what's interesting is that I feel like there's no limit to like what object people can use, which is really cool when you want those like flashy action scenes.
Right.
Like an umbrella?
That's sick.
That's so cool. And then it makes you wonder, I love how like it is an object that they treasured. So I wonder like, was this umbrella important to him like in the past?
It probably was, yeah.
And then it's like, there's so many possibilities of like opening up backstories, learning about where they got their vital instruments. Cause you learn about Rudy's gloves.
Right. Rudo's gloves.
Or I keep calling him Rudy. Rudo's got the chop.
He's got the chop.
You learn that his gloves were given to him by his dad.
So, Engine, the guy that he met with the umbrella, kind of drops him off in like this unknown area, and these bandits learn that he's a spherite, which is actually like really rare to see on the surface. And they could sell like his body parts or just him for like a lot of money. I guess the people on the surface like really hate people from the sphere because they're like ruining their world. Mm-hmm. But this is where Rudo kind of awakens his vital instrument, which is sick. Like he's turning these chains into like spike chains, and it's insane. He turned a tire into a weapon, and you kind of learn like he can turn any object that he touches into basically a vital instrument for himself.
And we kind of talked about this a little bit off camera, and we were wondering, is it his gloves that give him the power to like use any object the way he wants, or does he have like a special ability within himself where he can use multiple objects?
Right. And I feel like it's a little bit of both because the gloves are technically his vital instrument, but he also has like these markings underneath his gloves as well.
Right.
So I'm sure that's like extremely important. So I'm sure it's a little bit of both.
Really good first volume.
Really good first volume. One other thing is, I guess, it'll probably tie in with the story later, but his dad was dropped like when he was like really young, and like he hated his real dad. But I'm predicting he's like alive and has something to do with, the conflicts that are going on with like the sphere. I'm sure he's somewhat important.
I have a feeling too he'll be coming back in later.
Yeah.
So when we start a new series, we try to do recommendations. Like if you are into X, Y, and Z manga, then you'd also like Gachiakuta. So for this, I was thinking Dorohedoro.
Dorohedoro is a good one.
Because the setting is similar. It's like the people above the surface and then underground.
Yeah.
And I love that personally.
No,
We're
it's
like
cool.
huge Dorohedoro fans, so.
Yeah. Another one I would say is, I feel like if you enjoyed a weapon system, I know it's not exactly the same, but I feel like it has a unique take on like a weapon system like Soul Eater. So if you like enjoyed the way that they use like weapons, it's not exactly the same because these people aren't turning like actual people into weapons, but I feel like the emotional connection you need with your weapon is like very similar.
All right, so that was Gachiakuta. We're not the type to get like swayed by hype, but yeah, this is worth the hype, and I'm just excited to see the way they started the story. I feel like lends itself to so many different possible directions you can go in.
Yeah, and the anime is coming out this summer. So
yeah, so get in before the anime comes out.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. Yeah, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe.
Stay tuned for volume 2.
Stay tuned for volume 2. Let us know if you're gonna read this like with us. We'd love to know your thoughts on it as well. As always, this world is cruel, but at least we have manga.